I had to dig out my plastic camping glass for this. A while back I brewed up a Cooper's lager, just a regular lager, which isn't really a lager, but it kind of resembles a Pilsner more or less. But anyway, and I had a little bit left in the keg, or in the thing, you know, the fermenter. I couldn't fit in the keg, so I bottled it, and I forgot about it. It's been sitting down there for, I don't know, 3 months underneath my wash bin. So I just poured it, and look at that. Son of a gun. We're brewing today, and we got some footage for you. I put the GoPro on my forehead, on my hat, and I haven't really even watched the video yet, so we'll see how it turns out. But listen, let's get some brewing going. Cheers. Whoa! Okay, well, here we go. We're doing the, whoops, I got this the wrong way around. This is the first time I've used a GoPro camera mounted on my head, so I'll do the best I can to make this work. Pardon me if it's a little shaky. Take your Gravol. We're going to do a summer ale here by Brewer's Best. I don't know if you can read the print there, but it's a fruity ale, and I figured I better get this done before the summer is over. So let's see what we've got inside the box here. Not going to need the caps, but got a bag for the grains, so we'll set that aside. This is a little flavor pack. It's got like orange peel and spices in it. I just smelt it. It smells beautiful, so we'll set that aside. This is priming sugar. I always add this into the brew, even if I'm not bottling. You'd add it anyways if you were bottling, so why not add it into the pot if you're not bottling? You get your little bit of extra gravity out of there. What do we got here? Some crushed Carapils malt. I hope this is all in focus. I don't know how to do this. I've never done it before, so that's got to be put in soon. We've got 2 ounces of Cascade hops. One goes in the beginning and one goes in at about 20 minutes, 15 minutes left in the boil. There's instructions and things in here which I've already looked at. There's my yeast, which I'm going to rehydrate. I've got my water already ready to do that do that with. So we got that, and then we've got our extracts here. What's this? Pilsen Light. Yep. Okay. And then we've got our dry malt extract. Now I'm gonna use a technique. Get that out of the way now. I'm gonna use a technique where I don't add all of the extract during the entire boil, because I'm only doing half the amount, or 3/4, 2/3 the amount of water. I better turn that off because it's probably at temperature. And you know, going by a little bit of John Palmer's advice, we're gonna just add these two for the majority of the boil, and we're gonna add this one near the end. One of these. I think these are the same. This one near the end. That way, we have the sort of closer to the gravity that we're gonna try to aim for at the end when we top up. Just a little note, it's perfectly fine to follow the instructions that comes with these kits. You'll get great results, and it works, and it's easy. But with me, this particular time, you know, being a bit of an advanced brewer, I think, you know, I chose to do the late extract addition. You know, it's an extra step, whatever. You don't have to do it. You're perfectly fine. Just follow the instructions that comes with these. Excuse me. But if you're an advanced brewer, or you're somebody who likes to mess around and, you know, kick it up a little notch, then you can change these things up a little bit. And that's just basically what I did. Is I just wanted to boil the hops in a wort that was less dense to get more utilization, but I don't want to recommend that you deviate from the instructions that these kits come with, unless you know what you're doing. So that's all. Just a little pointer there. These are not the same. These are Bavarian wheat and Pilsen Light. So it doesn't matter which one I add when. They're probably the same amount. So we'll just work that out when the time comes. I'll probably put, it doesn't matter as long as they get into the boil at some point. All right. So let me take my temperature. Not my temperature, but I know I'm going to get comments about how the bottom of my pot has scorch marks on it. This is a pot's been through a lot of brews, a lot of beer. So yeah, there's been a couple of instances. So we're going up to about 167, and so I'm going to just let that cool down a little bit before I add my grains. Sorry, that's the iPad, so I can see what I'm doing almost. Get my grains into the bag once I figure out which end is which. Okay. Yep. There we are. What do we got? So that's crushed Carapils. Crushed Carapils malt going in to the bag. Okay. So I'll just tie that up into a nice knot. As I said, I've read the instructions, but this is one of the most basic partial extract kits you can do. You just want to leave lots of room for the grains to expand and whatnot. You see how I got that? I'm trying to look at my iPad to see how it's looking. So I'm going to wait and add these when we get this down to a bit of a more acceptable temperature. With our temperature at about 159 Fahrenheit, in go our grains. Okay? And there they go. Just sort of spread them out a little bit here. And that's that. We just let those steep for about 20 minutes. We'll just stick the lid on there. And while they steep, I will go downstairs and get my fermenter ready and make some sanitizer. So the reason I dug out this plastic camping glass was because the very first time I ever tasted this particular beer was when I went camping, and I got myself the this was a long time. This is years ago. I got the DIY kit from Cooper's, the first one, not the second one without the airlock. The very first one with the twist off lid. I got that, and what came with it was a lager with just the regular with the white label with the green striper on the bottom. And so I brewed that up and I bottled it up to take camping with me. And the very first one I opened, because I did bring some store-bought beer with me too, just in case, right? The very first one I opened was at night, and it was the very first one I tasted, and it was really good. Check this out. Hey guys, it's Craig here. One of the things I've always loved about camping since I was a kid is these gas lanterns here. We had one when I was a boy, and I just love the way they work. If I can get the lighter to work, we can fire this thing up. Yes, that's normal. There we go. Takes a minute to get settled. There's lots of bugs out here. There we go. What I wanted to do tonight was something kind of as a conclusion to my Cooper's brewing videos that I've done with the Cooper's microbrew kit. I haven't tasted the beers yet. I brought a few of them up camping with me here, and we're going to taste one for the first time. Great. Oh yeah, good sound. I didn't bring my big glass with me because I didn't want to break it, so I got a plastic one here. It won't hold the entire beer, but it doesn't matter. This is it. Look at that. Oh dear. Just great. So there it is. Let's put the cap on that so no bugs get in. This is a Cooper's Lager. I think you can probably see how clear that is and nice that looks. I hope. It smells good. Let's try it. This tastes great. It's delicious. And, excuse me. It's delicious. So, kind of a tribute to that. This is what, 5 years later or something like that? And I found one that I made a while ago, and I broke out the same glass. And it tastes just as good as that one out in the sticks there. So, cheers to that, and let's get back to the brew. I got my boiled water here, and it's cooling down. Just did it in the microwave. It's cooling down, so once that gets to about 85 degrees or something like that, I'll put my yeast in and rehydrate. So I'll be right back. Now, if you're watching this in 1080, you should be able to read over here the description of this, and you can pause it if you want, and all the other information that comes on the instructions. Okay, it's been about half an hour. Whoops, that's hot. Okay. And this is, a very weak wort. We're just going to give it a little go here just to make sure everything gets distributed through. So, and I'm using more water than they said to use, so it's not going to look very dark. Okay. Meantime, let's get her up to the boil. There we go. We can make dog biscuits out of that. Alright, we have a boil, or close to it. And now we're going to add I like to turn off the heat. And when you're working with an electric stove, you really have to wait a little bit before so the burner cools off. And then you add your extract. I didn't preheat the can or anything like sometimes people put it in hot water. I didn't do that. I forgot, but it looks like we're going to be all right. It's beautiful stuff. Okay, and I'm going to grab my my ladle and add some of this back in here so that we can get the rest of it out. Put it down so I don't burn myself here. Brewing is messy. Get used to it. See what we've got. It's hot. Ouch! There we go. Hey, look at that. Cool. Woof, that was hot. All right. Well, I got to turn it off again anyway because I have to add my one package of dry malt here. Although this stuff isn't it doesn't drown like liquid does, liquid malt, so it doesn't go to the bottom straight away, but still, you know, you want your heat turned off. And of course, if it's steaming and everything, you're going to get a lot of globules on the side here. So you are better off with the heat off anyway. And as I said before, I'm leaving this other package until the end, but I already explained that earlier. You don't have to do that. So once we bring this back up to the boil, I get my first addition of yeast. Sorry, not yeast, hops in there. I'm looking forward to tasting this beer. I really am. You know, a watched pot never boils, but a non-watched brew pot boils over. So always be careful. Boilovers are a disaster. Yep, it's like with kids, you know. When the brew pot gets quiet, you better go check. Anyway, we got a nice little boil here. I've got some grains here, spent grains. That's food for my pet rats. And we're going to do our first hop addition. 1 ounce of Cascade. In they go. This is not going to be a very hoppy beer, and I still have a hop break here I might have to tend to. So I'm keeping a close eye on it. I love the smell of those Cascades. Right, we got 20 minutes left in our boil. And whoops, I forgot to cut the top off of that. In go the last hops. In go this lovely spice pack. And in goes this last bit of extract. And I'm not going to worry too much about turning the heat off. I'm just going to do it real quick. There. This has another 20 minutes, and I'm also going to add my wort chiller once this comes back to a boil. But unfortunately, I have to do the wort chilling downstairs because I can't find the attachment for my tap. Just bring this back up to a boil and let it go for another 20 minutes. I'm being really fussy this time about making sure that my rehydrated yeast is at the same temperature as my cooled wort. Cooled wort is about 73 right now, it's Fahrenheit. My yeast was at 83. That's 10 degrees difference, and I didn't really think that was a good idea. So I'm spooning wort into the yeast slurry to try and slowly bring it down so we don't shock the yeast. I don't know. I'm not a professional yeast guy, but this is what, and everything's sanitized, so don't worry. We can bring this temperature down closer to the temperature of the wort. We're not going to stress out our yeast because I want this beer to taste absolutely incredible, and the only way to do that is to treat your yeast correctly. Or, you know, you can't fiddle with this forever. You gotta reach a point where it's like, okay, pitch the yeast, put the lid on, let her rip. Otherwise, you know, you're exposing your wort to the air and to infection, potential infection. So this is that. I am now not even going to take the temperature. I'm going to pitch the yeast. Beautiful. Give it a little stir. Bob's your uncle. Well, thanks for watching, guys. T-shirts available at tgtshirts.com. Thank you very much for your support. It's very much appreciated. Helps me keep this running, keep this going. Okay? And I've got a chicken soup going. Oh, don't forget to visit 17brewcrew.com. And if you've got any questions and you can't get a hold of me, even though I'm there, usually, I mean, I'm around, I check that quite often, there's a whole slurry of people there that really do know their stuff, and you're not going to get chastised for asking a simple question. There are no stupid questions at 17brewcrew.com. I got a chicken soup cooking up on the stove. I can smell it simmering away up there. It's getting a little colder outside. Fall is upon us, and I can't wait to dig into that. So there you have it, guys. Cheers, be safe, happy brewing, and thank you very much for watching. Cheers.